Happy Patch Tuesday, everybody. It's December. It's the Miracle on Fix Street or something like that. It's that special time of year where companies all start running skeleton crews or, attackers really try to take advantage of, people just being distracted by the holidays. And so, throughout that, with that, all that being said, we'll just jump into it right here with me. I've got two senior security engineers here at Automox, Matt Lee and Seth Hoyt, and they're going to go on that journey with me today. How's it going, guys?
Good. Let's do it.
It's kind of a light month in terms of like what's being patched and what's not, and I found that to be interesting. It's kind of like a bitter respite before the cold winter months roll in here. But I think the one thing that's on a lot of people's radar this month and this week, for that matter, is the React2Shell vulnerability. So I figure we could just kind of kick off discussing that a little bit. And for those of you who it's not a top of mind for, it's a remote code execution vulnerability in React server components, which basically sends serialized data from the server to the client. And basically how the data gets deserialized on the server, it can lead to an attacker sending maliciously crafted flight payload to create some remote code execution. We were lucky on our end to not be affected by it, thankfully. I'm just putting that out there to anyone and everyone. Automox is not affected by this. We will have an update on our trust center too later today. But yeah, pretty wild. I feel like every other month now we've just been getting kind of a hot drop of a critical CVE.
Yep.
Yeah,
and I think an important thing to know about that React thing too is even if you aren't running React as a front end, if you have those server components installed, which they might be just bundled in with some other libraries, you will be affected. So that was something else that I think was important, that like it just might get overlooked because it's like, oh, we're not using React. And it's like, well, you might have it on some servers. So it's good to double check.
Yeah, absolutely.
And as long as I'm reading this right, I mean, there's no authentication required for this one. So that can make it extremely dangerous for internet-facing apps.
Yeah, it's very, very spicy on that. And I think, I think it was also a lot scarier for a lot of people as well, just because I feel like a lot of the initial detections were very broad, and they didn't like cover a lot of like evidence of exposure sort of thing. So we had to like do a little. I mean, we were lucky enough to have like pretty best in class tools to allow us just to run this down pretty quickly within our environment. But I know the initial triage stuff just kind of set up red flags for us. And so I'm assuming it did that for a lot of other people. So just kind of be aware of that like do the digging yourself on the back end. Just because you get a flag doesn't mean you're affected. And so make sure you're running it down front end, back end, everything. And then obviously update. Basically update any framework that bundles our SC. And I think 1901, 1912, and 1921 or higher all fully remove the vulnerable code path. So just something to be aware of. Get that done before the holidays if you can. Otherwise, fasten your seatbelts. So, yeah. But, yeah, after that, I think we can just kind of move on to our usual standard detection stuff and standard CVEs, which, again, super light this time of year for once. I don't know. Thankful for that. But Matt, why don't you carry us on this one?
Yeah, so I was looking at CV 2025 62550, which is an exploit in the Azure Monitor Agent, and this is an RCE. And I thought this was interesting because not only could it be a potential like living off the land type of vuln, but it exploits the syslog user. So whatever permissions or authorization that has on your server, that's gonna dictate what might happen if this gets popped. And I think it's a cool attack vector for attackers, because usually you are going to go after logs and try to clean up your tracks on a server. I think logs are incredibly important just overall to, I mean, obviously figure out what is running on your system and how it's running. And so I think that would be the main thing I would worry about, is somebody gets into the system, exploits this, gets into the syslog user, and then is able to kind of move stealthily around while not really alerting. Because, I mean, if they affect the syslogs, those aren't going to get passed to whatever monitoring you have. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
And at the
that was a
very
little spicy.
least, yeah, at the very least, even if you have like proper RBAC permissions, if the syslog user is like read only, that's still like a great path for enumeration for an attacker too.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
just thinking about all that. So, yeah.
Yep.
So, pretty neat.
Patch it up. Don't let your logs get smuggled out or deleted or exploited.
Don't let your logs be memes or something.
Don't let your
no.
logs be threats.
That's the one. That's the one we're going with.
Oh, words.
Oh man, Seth, carry us home.
All right, so this month I'm looking at CVE 2025-62565. This one is a newly disclosed vulnerability in Windows File Explorer. This is an elevation of privilege vulnerability. So most of you know that means once an attacker gets a foothold on your system, they can use this bug to elevate privileges. So in this case, it does go up to system level or full admin. This bug lives inside the Windows shell, which is the underlying code that powers File Explorer's interface and all of its features. And then this is also a use after free vulnerability. So basically, fancy way of saying when a software frees up a chunk of memory, but then accidentally uses it again later. That's how that works. So, they would like throwing out a box, but still expecting it to safely store things in it. So that's kind of how that happens. But so this one, when the File Explorer interacts with a file, so something like showing an icon and fetching its metadata or generating a preview, it's calling into like the deep parts of that Windows shellcode. So in this case, that code can be tricked into using memory that's already been freed. So if an attacker crafts a malicious file that manipulates this like timing, the system might execute code that the attacker controls. So with stuff like this, since it's trying to grab free memory that's already been used, that poses a lot of dangers. And what that can do, like I said, in this case, mainly just elevation of privilege. So they're just trying to get that system level access, so they can do literally anything and anything they want. The other thing that I did want to mention on this one was that the Microsoft's advisory does say this user action is required, but the caveat is that is barely. So in this case, the interaction just means that the victim does something minimal. It could be a single click of the file to select it, because again, if how I explained earlier, it is trying to fetch metadata for like a preview or something, so you don't have to open the file. You can simply click it, and that can trigger this, right? So, just touching it in Explorer could trigger this vulnerability if the malicious payload is set up the right way, right? So yes, it needs user interaction, but barely any.
Oh God, that's kind of that's a nightmare. Like, could you like theoretically neuter this a little bit if you disabled like things like a preview pane or anything?
Preview mode, yeah, the preview.
Or would it be would it still be enough for it to populate the metadata for like the bottom part of the Explorer pane where it goes like this takes up like so many kilobytes and this and that? And
yeah, That's
Yeah.
that's the issue with this is like it. Yes, but the attacker would have to specifically target that feature. It's not like they can write
It's
the
not broad
exploit
in
to
that.
load on like the preview pane. So they're only kind of attacking. I mean, of course they could do broad and go, okay, if they do this, 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 or this, any of these can execute. But they would have to know what exactly they're attacking.
Yeah,
And
that's
a lot
wild.
of these do require. I was reading through. Actually, read through all of them like a big dork, and a lot of them are require end user interaction. So phishing again, right? That's the weakest link with all of this. Is an attacker sends a malicious link, something user has to interact with it, then the chain kind of starts. But that's also why you'll see on a lot of these Microsoft phones, they have like a dedicated is preview pane an attack vector, and it says yes or no. So that's what you're seeing with that, where is it like they just hover over it, preview pane, boom, bam, done. So that's another thing to think about too.
Yeah, and devil's advocate there, because me, I always like to say like all it takes is one user clicking the wrong thing, but like sometimes with bugs like this, it's trusted software that is doing what it's always done, just slightly wrong, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm guessing that this gets by things like smart screen and stuff like that too. So, but yeah, it's I mean, especially bringing up phishing, it's the holidays. Educate your users on literally every type of phishing campaign you can. Just put out a document. Like, you're gonna get the gift cards. You're gonna get the random free gift stuff that they think they're getting from a vendor or things of that nature.
Santa Claus loves his gift cards.
He does. Santa Claus does. And you know what? So does our CEO. He's always emailing us, asking for those gift cards, and I have to tell him, please don't. Like, I can't afford to buy you more Apple gift cards. So
can you just buy us some gift cards for once? Like,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I'm gonna write him an email now.
I think we should reverse the roles.
Yeah. But yeah, that kind of wraps it up for us. But we do want to wish everybody a happy holiday season, and please be safe. Get your tunings, your detections tuned very well for this season. I hope everyone gets some type of rest where, you're not getting attacked by some 15-year-old kid who's trying to hack into your infrastructure. So, yeah. Other than that, y'all stay safe out there and patch your stuff.
See you next time.
Thanks, everybody.